Wow! I feel the goo. I know that I will now. I feel the goo. I knew that I would now. So much goo. So much goo. I got a you.
Yo, what's up, guys? Today we have an awesome episode for y'all. I have with us the Disciples. They recently just took first place at the Euwcq, and we also have someone also on the team who topped, with the Rika deck. So this is pretty sick.
Yo.
I'm really happy to have these guys on, but I'll let them introduce themselves first. Before we get started, so floor is yours.
I'm Mark Patel. Just won Euros just a couple of days ago. Nothing much. We reached an Avalon, and now we're here.
Awesome. And
I'm Alex Robertson, better known as Betty in Europe, apparently. I got second at UK Nats this year with Sun Avalon as well, randomly.
Yes.
And then top 32 this weekend, losing to the Altergeist guy. Yeah.
I'm
No, so-
Antonio Papa. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yes. Nash. Introduce yourself for everyone who don't know who you are.
I'm Antonio Papa, also called Nash. DB Warrior, boys. DB Warrior. And I insult people for free.
Oh my goodness. But okay, so today, guys, is the Yugioh episode 2, and we're gonna talk about the EU aftermath. And we're gonna have the team that took it all, with the person who took it all. And honestly, I think one of the most prestigious event this year, at least from a European perspective. We had so many people who attended the live stream, who just watched all this unfolds. It was crazy. I think that it was a record attendance in terms of Twitch viewership for not only myself but also for the Konami stream themselves. I think they hit over 5,000-6,000 peak viewers at some point.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it was wild. It was a wild experience. So Marcus, how does it feel to win Euros?
It's pretty crazy. I didn't expect. Well, no.
No, shut up. I saw the message. I
know.
We gotta put the tweet up.
It's just, that was funny, man. It felt good. I was testing. I was like, yeah, maybe I can win it if stuff goes well. But yeah, it just feels pretty crazy to win the biggest European event of the year, and
Yep.
it was to do it XO. After Swiss, I went XO. I was like, I'm a dead man in Top Cut.
Yeah.
I've had a good run, innit? I was like, and yeah, the shocker to do both Swiss and Top Cut was
Yep.
crazy, and more rounds too. It's not like 11 rounds, top 64.
Fox 96
here in
just
12 rounds,
subscribed.
1 to 8. That's an extra 2 rounds. It doesn't matter. But yeah, it's pretty shocking. I'm just so grateful.
Yeah, and I think what's even crazier, the fact that I believe there was you went undefeated, but a lot of people on my Twitch I was like, yo, is he gonna pull a Marcelo and just win out? And I would say you did, to be honest. I would say you did. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was just the one I got flundered round 12. You'd think that's the last round you'd get flundered at 11-0, and that's what took my draw. I was like, oh my gosh. But to be fair, I didn't get an XL pass. You take it, but yeah,
That was
definitely very random.
Yeah, that was crazy. So let's guys start at the beginning, right? So let's talk about the team first, the Disciples, and the origin of how I guess where the team originated from, how'd you found it, and all that good stuff.
So it was 2 separate groups. So it was I just had my local London group.
Yep.
And when you want to go to a regional and travel together, there's a chat. There's the same chat, and there's the same people from locals. You just want to not go locals and just go regionals. And it was just a local chat, and we used to go to regionals. And I used to go to the same regionals as Betty. I was in London,
Yeah.
you were in Surrey, and you had your own small group of a car where you would travel to, and we'll see each other at every other event, and we're like, yo, and you just become friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just started topping regionals, and we're like, you know what? It'll be pretty cool if we just wore the same colors and be like, yo, look, yeah, that was that. I think that was
That's basically it, yeah.
That was basically it. We were just
That's literally it.
Our group of friends, a variety of skills. It was I'm no offense, I was the only person at YCS tops in our group of 12.
Yeah. 100%.
And so we were just weren't not super competitive. It wasn't oh my gosh, we're just this is us, innit? This is just who the people are happen to be. But obviously, when you talk about the Yu-Gi-Oh, when you have loads of friends who just talk about Yu-Gi-Oh, and you just talking about Yu-Gi-Oh all the time, you just got better because we
Mm.
I
always
feel you.
loved hanging around. We just always loved hanging around each other.
Yeah.
And our common interest was Yu-Gi-Oh. So that just, since we were always talking about it, we just got better naturally.
Also, I have a question for you about how was your overall experience about the location, the judges, like the overall experience of the European Oasis. I
It
mean,
was
the European
weird.
event.
Like, I think it was worse when compared to the other European YCSs. I don't know if Betty felt the same.
Okay. I don't know if anyone in chat knows about Milan, but Milan is the worst YCS I've ever been to.
No, but it's run well. Like, I
But
feel
like, but
it's
like
run-
compared
that's
to
just the
everything
location.
else, Milan is like bottom of the list. I don't think this was that bad. I don't think
Yeah,
it was
the
that bad.
location was good. I think the
Like,
organization was just a bit scuffed because they tried a new system.
yeah,
I
they
love the
tried
new
to put it
system.
all online. They tried
No,
to put it
it's
all
like
online.
the new system makes sense. It's a step forward, but since it was the first big event with the new system, there were issues.
Mm.
And like,
And
I had, like,
also, sorry, continue.
although I just had 2 weird judging issues that kind of tilted me. But like round 9, I get deck checked, and they say there's a problem with your sleeves. I'm like, cool, sure, that's fine. Then they bring out the extra leg sleeves. They're double sleeved. I'm like, cool. And they said you double sleeved them wrong. I was like, what? Yes, they need to be like in and out. I was like, what? You're getting a warning. I was like, what? Wait. Look, man, it was round 9 last round. I just like firmed it. I wasn't complaining.
Yeah.
And then round 12 went like a Mystic Mine, and like my deck's what mine outs. But like I just ran out of like glamour targets to resolve glamour, and I'm just trying to make my opponent like I need to make my opponent summon a monster and make him think I'm gonna out. But long story short, the judge is looking at me, and he thinks I don't play mine out. He gets another judge, and he's like, I can tell him he's trying to tell the other judge, oh, I don't know what he's trying to say, but he's definitely. And then he says he has a chat with him for 2 minutes, like this higher up judge. He comes to me and he says directly to my face, "Have you got a mine out?" And I'm on tilt, like
You cannot
front
do
of my-
that.
I'm in front of my opponent.
Yeah,
I'm like,
there's no way that. Wow, that's crazy. That's actually wild.
Oh,
A
no,
judge came
round-
to you and said
That's
that.
wild.
No,
That's
it's
wild.
Yeah.
it's
Oh
not
my
just-
God.
It's not just any other table. It's on round 12, table 1.
Yeah, like he only told me about this like in the last like half an hour as well, and I'm like, I'm still don't even know how
I'm like, and I'm on
what's
tilt, like,
saying it.
is he trying to say I'm trying to slow play the game into like time? I feel like his POV was like, I'm trying to slow the game into time, and I like get in the edge, blah blah blah. But and he was talking to a judge like I'm slow, and I'm just like on tilt. Like, I'm like,
But it doesn't
I just,
matter.
like-
Like you're on
I-
table
like-
1.
I was like so until and because I thought maybe like I'm 11-0. I don't need that slow play one. I don't need this shit. Like I'm not trying to get DQ'd.
You're not
I
trying to
just,
get like anything. Yeah.
I just skipped up. I'll tell you. You asked me now. I didn't know how I just skipped up. Like those were like 2 weird things that happened to me. The judges, but it was fine overall. The rest of the stuff was fine.
What about for you, Betty? How was it for you?
It was chill, to be honest. Like my event was pretty chill. Like the only weird thing was like, they were in top 32. There was like a half an hour delay because they messed up with the pairings, I think, and just how they're doing the bracket for Top Cut. Because I think 2 people were 97th, right? Joint 97th on tiebreakers, and that just messed up the tiebreakers. And then there was like a half an hour thing, and I was just sat on the streamed like stage, I guess, just like waiting around, and the judge just like walked away. My opponent walked away, and I was just like, do I just like sit here and wait or what? But yeah, I was just, I don't know. But nah, I think it was fine for me anyway.
What is it like? What is it like testing with the team, and how did you get convinced on Rika?
Oh my gosh, testing with a team feels like not cheap, but a massive advantage.
Yeah.
Like anytime I play my opponent, it feels like my opponent is playing versus like 20 people. Like, you know,
Okay.
that's what it feels like. Like it just because like my deck just becomes better, and like when I play against my friends, like my testing is just against meta decks and like really good meta decks. So I'm just constantly getting pushed. Like you learn the most from your losses. And if I'm testing against amazing players, my deck is continuously getting better. I'm finding out what's wrong. Whereas like if you don't have the opportunity, you might just be comfortable winning games, but then you don't see like the problems. Like there's pretty much like paper over cracks really, and you don't really like when you're playing against like amazing friends. It just and the plant deck came about with Ben Robinson. Like I think Betty probably can give a better origin story of the plant deck because he was starting with Sun Avalon. He started ages ago.
Yeah, so it was kind of after nationals. So like, oh god, it's even earlier than that. To be honest, it was probably about a month and a half before nationals, UK nationals. That was mid-July, mid-June.
Nats was
Yeah, it was.
testing
I
the
think
deck.
I believe you
Yeah.
got like second, right? You got like second at
Yeah,
UK
yeah,
Nats. Yep.
Yeah, so I got second at UK Nats with the Sun Avalon deck, and wasn't playing the Rika cards before. And me and Ben Robinson, we were talking about that. We were testing that. Obviously, like tested the punk cards, which is like the breaking point. Then like 2 weeks after Nats, I messaged him like Plant Gang, and then literally it just started from there. We started testing the Rika cards. We were like, these cards are broken. And then we just kept on testing it, just finding out like all of these like niche interactions. We went for like a weekend with the boys. We played some Edison. I
Nice.
bought my Rika deck, and then like I was just slapping up these like danger decks, these tier decks, sprite decks. And then yeah, we just kept on testing it from there basically. Then like last weekend before Euros, I played a like winner switch event.
Mhm.
And I had like all the good like UK players, like all the Northern ones, like Luke Parks, those people.
Yep.
And I won that, and like convincingly won that. Like a lot of my games were like 2-0, very easy, and that's when you became like solidly convinced, right, Marcus?
No, I was so like you brought it to like our friend's house, and this was before Poke came out, and everyone was testing new stuff. And I'm not like I don't fall in love with it. I just kind of go into an event and just try and play the best deck. And like what I wanted my deck to do for Euros was that I just wanted to beat Sprite. I wanted to beat Sprite, and when my deck starts, I don't want to lose. And like I kind of just wanted the boxes tick. Don't lose to Super Pony, don't lose to Darwin no more. Be able to play through hand traps, like all these boxes. And I saw like the Rika plant deck, and I'm like, wait, it actually just does everything. Like I know it's a rogue pick, but it can win go first. Like it doesn't lose to the non-engine cards. Yeah, I just saw it and I was like, yo, this deck is it ticks the boxes, so in theory it should perform well. And then yeah, when I played games, it was like amazing.
And like, would you say that like would you say that the deck, like, did you feel like it had an advantage because people didn't know it, or do you think even if people knew it, it didn't matter? Like, would you still
like,
play the deck even if people knew what all the cards did? Is my question.
So like, we tested the deck versus friends. Like after we did that, and then we tested versus friends, and they were playing. Some of them played perfectly, like, and we were winning. Like that was the thing. Like, but they had the old list. They didn't have like the optimized. Like, they're like the nice list. The old, like they had a really good danger tier list, but their sprite list wasn't amazing.
Yeah.
But it did really good against the danger tier list. Doesn't really matter if they know what the deck does. A rivalry's a rivalry.
Yeah.
Not like that, but yeah, the gates just trade well.
You did not just say I don't have to read their cards just because I play a flood. That's crazy.
You see it, yeah, but Sprite was like a bit weird when they knew how to. Sprite felt 50-50 when they knew exactly how to play it and how to side. There's two different things, like how to side. Like people think Darkwood and the Moor is amazing against you, but it's not. And when you know really small stuff, it makes a difference. But it was still very good. Like if I start, I don't think with your side deck and with your main deck, you can beat me consistently if I start, because my end board puts some interrupts, like puts different forms of interruptions.
Yeah,
so it doesn't matter.
So after Euros, I like watched I watched the finals obviously, and then after it, bro, I literally tested your deck, the one that you guys made up like for 5 hours, and I was like, yo, Dark really does nothing to this, like, because you have like Princess in the graveyard with the field spell that tributes their cards so you get their stuff, and then you have like the trap that takes their stuff, and you're like, yo, like there's like 3-4 interrupts through Dark Ruler.
You summon another guy, because when the Strand is tributed,
Strand is tributed, yeah.
He has 4, and like if they've committed a Dark Ruler, they're down a card, and like they can't kill you. So even if they do in a world break your board, it all comes back, and you have cards in hand. Like your board was cheap to make.
Yeah,
it wasn't expensive.
Yeah, that's also how you define a meta deck, by creating 3 points of interaction: monster, traps or spells, and cards in the graveyard or in hand. And that's also what we talked about during the GooCast number 1. But before, Betty was talking about maintaining the conviction. How do you maintain your conviction when your teammate disagrees?
It's tough because a lot of times we just accept it. Like you can have a different opinion and it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. For me, it's fine for people to have different opinions and then go with it, because you want to play Yu-Gi-Oh for a long time, and so it's fine to make mistakes because you learn from them. It's like my biggest like learning opportunities in Yu-Gi-Oh. I've gone to an event and I've done something wrong, and I remember it, and I remember that event more personally because I know what went wrong for me in that event. So I think it's fine to not be perfect at events, and yeah, you learn a lot from your mistakes. So I think it's fine. It's fine for people to do different things, and you just learn from it.
Yeah, because I saw you guys played I believe you played your teammate in top 16, Henry, right? Bancroft?
Yeah.
And he was playing Danger Tournaments, I believe, from what I was looking. So I was like, I actually thought you guys were gonna play a mirror match in top 16, but then I found out from people in the chat, they're like, nah. Henry's playing like the danger tier deck. I was like, yo, I was so surprised because typically everyone on a team typically just plays the same deck or like they play the same list or whatever. So that was interesting. Yeah, to see.
I think it was like a thing where like after they saw like all of us like because in our team the three best players were the three plant decks and we came with like a very stacked team of players and like different decks, but the three best players were the plant, and I think people realized we should have played plants. That was
100%.
That was the conclusion from the team. It was like we should have played plants.
Even the guys that topped were like under the impression they should have played plants. Like they only like they were, yeah.
I think they learned a lot. Like I think like for what reason why we wanted to play plants, I think they weren't convinced, and I think they were like made the connection in their head like why it was so good now. So I think it will help them for future events. Like it's kind of didn't play it, but now the future events.
You said a very interesting thing. You said they made the connection, which is very important in my opinion, because I would not like to test with people that never disagree with me. Never.
Yeah.
Like it makes no sense. The disagreement creates improvisations.
Yeah, it does. Like you don't see like it says like the best thing about a team is having a different set of eyes.
Yeah.
If you have the same set of eyes, you're not learning. But when you have a different set of eyes and they overlap, it's like knowledge. It just becomes a bigger.
Just to add to that as well, I think that's actually, from my perspective, one of the main reasons I like testing with you, Marcus. Because you're always the person in our chat that's like, oh, why haven't you tested this card? Why haven't you tried like this way? Like last weekend, you were like, oh, why don't you just play 2 rivalry and just like see how it goes? See if you like the card, see whenever you like it, you see how it goes. Whereas like a lot of our guys are just like, oh, you should be playing 3 of this card, 3 of this card. Like it's good. So why are you not playing 3? And you're always one of the few people in our group that's always like, oh, why haven't you tried this yet? So it's just, again, it's a difference of opinions, and it's important, I think, for growth as a team, and just growth as players.
Growth as a player, as a team, the deck list grows. There's more innovation as a result of like, I guess, not conflict necessarily, but just like, you know, you don't necessarily share the same opinion. You're always like questioning. I like even when Nesh and I test with Nesh a lot, and he's always like, yo, we always butt heads. But I think like that's a good thing. I don't find that to be like necessarily a bad thing all the time. But like we would argue so much about like 1 or 2 card choices, or like we would argue about all these things. But I think at the end of the day, the list overall gets better. And then you also, I think it's also like an important thing to have like confidence in yourself in a way, and then also like push back when you like firmly believe something. And I think like a lot of people, especially like newer players who just started playing, they don't necessarily have that confidence yet. So they just kind of like accept or like listen to whatever blindly, and they're just like, yeah, like he's right, whatever. I guess he's like, oh, he has more tops than me, so like he must be right or something like that, right? And I think that's like,
oh, Pax, how many tops you got?
Yo, not enough, yo, not enough. But you know, like I think that's important. So I would say like for people listening, definitely build that courage and have conviction in yourself.
Yeah, so with confidence, I think that's a good point because you've tested and you've seen like the impact of a card. So like, yeah, you can have confidence and say, well, I've played so many games and this card's been amazing. I think having like you've had the experience of like knowing how valuable a card is, and think you just have to express that. Yo, I've done the testing. The card is actually really good. Or like, you know, your personal experiences will make you grow as a player, and you'll learn the most from it. And it's hard to, when you take someone else's opinion, you don't see why someone's played the card. It's pretty tough. Like if you just play a card that someone tells you, you don't really see why, and it's a bit weird. It doesn't help when you're trying to build your deck afterwards or trying to improve from it. You struggle because you don't know why are you playing the card. Like it's a bit difficult.
Blind listening makes no sense.
Yeah.
And also, I'm a very how can I say that? I'm a very rocket. You know, like when someone tries to convince me over something, and when I try to convince, like you have to fight against me. Like it's a fight. It's actually a fight.
Yeah. And before we continue with the rest of the podcast, I just have a quick ad break. I just want to shout out the guys that are actually on the podcast with us. So they're from the Disciples. They actually have their own YouTube channel as well, and they actually do their own podcast. I listen to a lot of their podcasts myself. I've actually been on their podcast, so they're awesome people. I hope if you guys are listening here as well, maybe if you guys want to hear more of them and learn more about who they are, definitely go check out their YouTube. I'll put all their information in the description box. So if you're listening from Spotify or you're listening from YouTube, you'll find that information in the description. But we'll continue. Yeah, Tap Tuesdays for people.
Let's go, listening Tap Tuesdays.
Yep. But anyways, let's continue with the European Championship. So the event ended. What cards do you think should be addressed from Konami? And why? I know that's something that everyone always talks about. You know, which cards should be banned? You know, it's right around the corner potentially. So
it's Mystic Mine. That's the what's the saying? I don't know the saying, but Mystic Mine.
Mystic Mine.
It's like a saying when something's obvious. Yeah. You know, the elephant in the room. Let's address the
elephant in the room. Yeah.
Mystic Mine. It's kind of
Inside got also top 4 in the Evil Twin deck. In the side deck.
Was he maining or siding it?
Siding Scythe. Yeah. And there was multiple ways to access it too. It's not just Sanctum, because you can summon Mannequin Cat pass, and if your opponent summons like a Luber or something, right? Like all of them are fairies, so you can trigger Mannequin Cat to detach and summon Scythe from the deck, or if they play any decks that have lights or fairies. So if they play like Rites of Armasia, Rites is a Earth fairy, which actually triggers a Mannequin Cat to summon a Scythe from the deck too. So there's actually multiple ways for them to access Scythe without even drawing Sanctum, but a lot of people might not even know that interaction. But shout out to Matteo who got top 4 with that deck.
Matteo.
I think that's
you will learn Italian today.
Yeah, I think Scythe is definitely like next one on the list. I know people don't like rivalry. I think the cards are right. Like there's so many you can just play different. If there's a format with loads of rivalry, you just play different. You just play a 1-hour side. It's not that deep.
Like there can be only one. There is rivalry. There is different dimensional ground. There are so many unfair trap cards. But trap cards are designed to be unfair, to be in the meta. Otherwise, no one would play trapped cards in any deck.
They're like offset by the fact that they're slow, right? Like you need to set them and then activate them. But when you go first with it, like it's just disgusting. So
like imagine a summon limit when you already built your board. That shit is gonna be ace. But
there's just so many matchups where it's bad too. Like it's not gonna be good for every single matchup. It's even be a thing where it just overperforms if it's like in the same meta pool. But apart from that, it could just be pretty bad.
Talking about Mystic Mine.
Oh my god!
I think there is already a smile in your guy's face. Do you think the Altergeist being in the top cat actually created an issue of the meta representation of the decks that could have been showed?
It was an issue for me personally.
Like Ben is giving PTSD right now.
So the guy came over to like get me for the feature match, and then like check my phone, and I just get a message from my friends like, "You're playing Altergeist on feature." I'm like,
Was that the first feature or the second feature?
This is the second feature. That's second feature.
Second feature. Yeah, second
both
feature.
Both were Mindgeist.
The first feature was Mindgeist, and that was still scary, but like I was locked in for top cut at that point, so I wasn't like as like sketched out about it. But the second one, I was like, my top cut run is over at this point. I was not feeling good. And then there's like a 30-minute break between when I got taken over for that feature and then when the feature started. And it was just looking bad. And then I just got just watch it. I got destroyed. It was actually so peak.
Yeah, I think I got lucky, y'all. I'm not gonna cap. Like I saw you out at the mine, and he like duality for Metaverse or something, and I'm like, yeah, bro. Like it is what it is.
Can I add something?
What's up?
He activated impermanence multi-figure against you, right? Or it was
no. It was the other guy. It was the other guy.
Yeah, that was
no. That wasn't me.
Yeah,
but like,
because
I got so lucky.
He sided out one faker.
No, he probably sided out a faker against me as well. Let's be real. Like, he probably did. Yeah. And like, that's even worse. He then like secret village me. Then he summoned faker. I was just like, no.
Man.
No, I got bullied, and it's not fair.
Like I think Altergeist being there actually affected the meta representation. I think we could have got, I don't know, something different instead of Altergeist, and maybe you could have topped. Maybe there were something else that could have topped instead of that. I don't know. Yeah. I think it a little bit affected the meta representation.
Like all the person he beat along the way just got knocked out, right? Yeah. So like in a way, like top 16, top 8, whatever got skewed kind of heavily, because when you do like the meta representation and like from a top 16 perspective, like you see like the Geist guy, but then like you have to think about all the people who knocked on the way there, right? So a lot of Spike got murdered, So in a weird way, like it was like a mind deck. It wasn't even a Geist deck. It just happened to be a mind deck.
It was mind burn.
Yeah, It's basically mind burn.
It was mind burn, and there
Right.
was Meluseek there chilling.
It
so-
made
Yeah.
a lot of sense. Like you look at the deck list, like you knew people were gonna copy like the NA list that came out, and every list was either like one Galaxy Cyclone or like one Smashers. So that means if you could bait one of those cards and you resolve a second mine, you
Yeah,
just
game's
win.
over.
Like, you just win, and like it's hard
Yeah.
not to try and play a mine deck. Like Flunder did pretty well, yeah, but like it's just hard not to do that and just win easily. Like it's European Championships, you're gonna be against like amazing players.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You kind of just need to cheese.
I mean, if we look at NAWCQ, Euros, I think even what is it, YCS Hartford or no Charlotte, I believe, or Hartford, one of them, the one that Poe won, like all of them have been decided by mine. I think like even you played mine in your main deck. I mean, it was just crazy. Like, and I believe like the top I think almost all of top 4, even at YCS Charlotte, the one that Poe won, his opponent also made mine, right? Like it was just crazy. Like it goes to show like this card is an absurd power level. I actually compared to like Max C because every time we resolve it, like you get like 10 draws. It was like ridiculous. I'm like, what?
The UK Nats winner also played free mine. I know it's like but and like
It's
some people just don't play
everything,
it because they don't like the card, and it's like you just lose out because it's just your deck just becomes weaker.
Yeah. So I guess let's talk about
I
it.
have-
Like, what are the outs, right, Nesh? Like, we want to move on to like, okay,
Yeah.
so what are the outs? Like, how do we combat that? Because mine's still in the format. So now, like, do you think people should build their main deck to combat mine, and if so, how? Because I think a lot of people are playing mine now.
It's weird. See, my go-to when out in like problem cards is you kind of just have to play a different deck. Like if your deck loses to mine and you want to win, you kind of just can't play that deck. And that's like
Depends
my
on the
solution.
deck, really, right? Like our deck, we thought our deck was really strong because it was good into one mine.
Yeah,
Because like,
it was really good.
if they activate mine, you can like glamour it away or like go
And,
down
like,
to
you
one
can
more
kind of
spell,
wait to
glamour
draw
it. And it's
rivalry.
like,
Like if you see
all that
if
as
you-
well.
like,
Um,
the multiple mines.
But I would like to go over the ratios of your guys' deck list
yeah,
because
sure.
okay, we tested the combo. Obviously, we could not perfect the combo lines because we didn't practice enough the deck. So we had only 2 days in order to learn it. So I have a couple of
Hey, speak for yourself,
questions.
yo. What are you talking about? I watched the video on Farfetch channel, man. I don't know what you're saying.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Okay,
No,
so
it's definitely hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I
trolling.
have just a couple of questions because I would like to understand some of the issues.
For sure.
I have just 2 questions actually. The first one is why 2 Modan? That's the first thing that comes in my mind.
So they had a list first, like Ben and Betty, and I got the Rika deck, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to play these garnets. So I was like, I tried to like cut down the garnets, like I tried to play one Mudan and like one, I just tried to cut it down, but it just comes up like the recursion, like so since Petal always comes back in end phase, you need Rika cards to search.
yeah.
That's the big thing. So you commit Petal's coming back in end phase, and the grind game is Petals only the recursion of Petals are only impactful if you have cards to dig for. You always can dig for Princess, but if there's not a second Mudan to dig for, you can't dig for that second field spell.
Yeah.
And also you need to play a second field spell because they can always out the field spell, and it's like it's pretty big. Yeah, it's pretty big for those reasons.
So that was the main reason. The main reason was just basically if your board gets cleared, but you're not losing, right? So like you have like these 5 interrupts basically, whenever you finish your combo. Then if they play through the 5 interrupts and they clear your board, you put you on like 0 cards, and you just have the 1 Petal coming back. End phase the Petal comes back, Petal gets Mudan, Mudan gets field spell gets glamour, glamour gets you play.
Tributes their guy, adds 2, and then you're
Yeah,
really
so
good to go.
that's the main reason. We always wanted to have a Mudan in deck to search for when that happens. And then it also just came up that Mudan was like one of your best follow-up plays because it gets you to glamour, it gets you to sheet if you haven't used the field spell, and it's also just another card that tributes your opponent's cards. So it helps clearing the board on the crackback.
Yeah. We don't side out any of the Rika stuff too, but like we literally side out one of the princesses because you can play 2 in your deck. But you can't really side out the engine stuff because it's literally like the bare minimum. Like the side out stuff we take out is like Lone Fire, 1 princess, 1 twin.
Yeah.
So basically what you guys are saying, it's a necessary evil in order to have a good follow-up. And I guess that's the same reason why you guys are running the second sowing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
That's very
it's
similar
like
reason.
Like I said, like the British board, you got the Mudan, Glamour, hit their guy. You had that Petal, Seed. You haven't used normal summon yet. Summon the Seed, summon Dryas, add the second summon.
Yeah.
And you've got with no cards, you just come back into like a full board. Second Jasmine, you're up. You're up again.
Yeah.
Okay, it is the last question about the main deck, because I think to be honest, the side deck looks perfect to me. I actually don't have any complaints about the side deck, but there is something I want to discuss about the main deck because it's also a topic that we discussed also during the first Goocast. Triple tactical talent. Now, the thing is, triple tactical talent might be a good meta call, but might also be very risky because we actually predicted the 30% representation of tier elements. And tier elements, as you guys know, with entraps just sucks. Like, it's very, very bad with entraps. So, if we expect a 30% meta representation of the element, how come that you guys decided to play triple tactical talent in the main deck and not a card like Super Poly that's always good into any pot?
So like Tactics was probably one of the worst cards for me. I think I would play
same for
two.
me as well.
But the theory was, we thought the majority of people would have been on hand trap Sprite, right? And we thought Tears was free, so we can afford to play a bad card versus Tears because we thought the whole deck just deals with Tears well. So we kind of struggle versus Sprite, but we need as many cards to out the Sprite board. Like I said, we just need cards to trade with their Toad. And like post side, the way our deck post side looks, there's so much stuff that trades with their board, and Tactics is one of them. And also being able to see their hand is also cool, like post side if there's like evenly, like especially the Sprite board. Sprite is probably tougher than Tears. Like we're just playing for the two. And post side, if they do have a hand trap, let's say they do side into like the Lightning Storms and evenlies, we have the opportunity to snipe one of those, and that just becomes really insane.
So, would you still keep the triple tactical talent, or you would probably consider other option like Super
I don't
Poly?
think so.
Because like now people have realized hand traps are bad. Before it wasn't like that. Everyone didn't realize hand traps were bad, but now, like you saw Joshua Schmidt's list of no hand traps. I think a lot of people go towards there. I don't think you can play talents.
What do you think about the other decks? Which decks you guys liked? Like you saw a deck profile and you were like, "Oh, the shit is actually good." Joshua list.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I have a take on the Joshua list. Everyone is swearing on. Everyone is swearing on the Bitcop. I don't actually think Bitcop is that big of a card. Like, I understand it wins against tier elements, but I think your deck should be already prepared to beat tier elements. As we can see, sorry, can you?
Oh, no,
can
I
you
was let you finish. Yeah, I can hear.
okay. Okay, like as you guys saw in the top cut, there were all other splice that were already prepared against tier elements. So why Bitcop just to beat tier elements? Because I think it doesn't really give you an edge against the other decks except for tier elements.
I think that's enough, right? Surely edge
Yeah.
is enough.
The way I see it is, I think Josh was understanding that tier elements as a deck is like probably as a base power level is stronger than a Splight, right?
It is.
So I think he was understanding that, and that going seconds, that a lot of the decks were playing just like one Galaxy Cyclone. Is it Galaxy Cyclone?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, Galaxy.
As the out to Mystic Mine, right?
Yes,
and
it's
just having
to beat tier elements.
Yeah, just having the beat up there to beat tier elements. It just
FTK going second.
It's just like, it's just you're just guaranteeing you're winning those games instead of like relying on having to play at some point or them just not seeing it, right?
Yeah. I think every deck is favored to go first too. Like if you start, you do believe you have a high probability of winning. So you just want to like increase your probability of winning going second.
And I also think it's like I think it's more important for this event than events going forward as well. Just because again it's the surprise factor, right? Like even though people were finding out about it on the Friday at the event, that still doesn't give like the majority of the room the time frame to change their decks to beat it. And then that just means that, again, like his deck just had the advantage there that first tier elements going second, he can mine beat cop, and it's just game over, right?
The rest of his cards were also like for Sprite too. Like you saw the enemy controllers, like that wasn't for tournaments. It was for Sprite. Like it was like a change of heart. It wasn't for tournaments. It was just like so. It was like a combination of stuff. He's trying to like average out his win rate versus like Sprite and tiers, and like that's what kind of it does. Like the beat cops for the tier deck, and the main deck spell engine cards were like for Sprite, and you kind of see like that's what he was trying to do.
I love enemy controller. In fact, then we will talk about enemy controller with other detects options. I mean, overall, I think probably I'm wrong about Bitcop. I don't know. Guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. But to be honest, it seems like just, I don't know, some attack that you can run all in that event. because you are doing a meta call.
Yeah, but I think that's what it takes sometimes, right? Like maybe you need to just run that tech, win that one event. Obviously, Josh didn't win, but he performed very well. And it's like, yeah, sure, it might not work for other events, but the surprise factor and the fact that it did get him that far, like he'd finished, day 1 9-0. It wasn't a coincidence. It goes to show how powerful, I guess, these like tech options are, and it goes to show how powerful it is, like the surprise factor of like these type of cards.
Yeah, I don't think you can get away with it future, because if there's like one, like it was an assumption there's no Cosmic Cyclone in the room, and I think it's a fine assumption to make, but I think moving forward it might be a bit of a gamble.
Oh, bro, I already figured that out. To that Beacop my thing. Oh, no one's getting me with that.
If you talk about that, then I will have to.
No. I'm just saying, like, Cosmic Cyclone. Yeah. But
I know what you're trying to say. I know what you're trying.
Yeah, but anyway, let's talk about the tech of the day, since we're already on that topic, right? There was a couple cool stuff that was played at Euros. We had enemy controller. We had the Beacop interaction with Mystic Mine. We had Rivalry, which is, I don't know if that's considered a tech, but it definitely was a good meta call. And then we have Kurikara. I think this was a card that, if you guys paid attention to all the deck profiles, this was the card that Herman cited. So what are your thoughts on Kurikara, which does come start rare, by the way. It's a pretty card to have in your side. That's all I gotta say. What are your thoughts on it?
I hadn't thought about it much. I literally hadn't thought about it much. And I haven't
thought about it at all either.
Only heard about it recently, because I didn't have a chance to watch deck profiles. We did like a podcast before, and someone brought it up.
Yeah,
so
literally.
I literally haven't thought about the interactions. Like I'm sure it's good, but I haven't thought about why and when you would activate the card.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about it, but I don't know, Nesh, maybe you have some better ideas on it?
I tested against Herman. He clapped me a few of times when he was playing Kurikara.
A few times?
Okay, now, it was my first take like on the supply deck, so I didn't know shit, if we can talk about it. So Kurikara was a nice deck because every time you use Toad, you get punished because they can just tribute, and also if you clear the opponent board in end phase, the Kurikara can reborn your opponent Toad to create a normally negation for free on your board. And this was spicy in my opinion, but the thing is, if you're playing already inherently around Super Poly, then you also play inherently around Kurikara. So that's also why one of my points that I discussed with Herman, that I said like Kurikara seems good, will be for sure a very good card in the future, but right now if I have to rate the card, it would be a 3 out of 5. Seems good, but not good enough for other techs that you can run in your side deck.
Yeah. I don't see it.
Yeah, I think the other interaction is mainly because you played a bunch of danger cards. Maybe the concept is like, oh, you can like draw into it with the dangers, and then at some point in the game, you just summon a 3k beat stack by attributing over Elf, and that just like applies a lot of pressure. It might just kill your opponent, to be quite honest. So it doesn't seem that bad if you think about the perspective. Oh, I'm gonna activate a bunch of danger cards, draw into them, and then maybe it gets me there. Because I think if you hard draw it as your six card, as your 6 going second, it's not that good unless your opponent activates Toad, and then you try to bluff like Super Poly by going into battle phase, and then they use Elf as well, and then you tribute over their Toad and Elf. Like, I don't think that scenario like is ever realistic if someone like thinks deeply enough about the game. So, but hey, who knows? So, because the tech that I wanted to talk more about is 2 cards that are similar in concept, which is Alpha, the big guy, and which also works really well with like big dangers like Bigfoot, Thunderbirds. It works with like Winged Beasts. Oh wait, what are the other Winged Beasts? Does it work with reptiles? I don't know, but it works like well with the big dangers, like how like Grand Magi used to do it. And then the other tech was like Cyber Dragon and Mega Fleet, right? And that was one of the things that I was really hoping to pay attention to during the European Championships. Are people playing Dupe Frog? Because if people aren't playing Dupe Frog, then those type of cards become like super powerful. Because you can imagine you slap down a Cyber Dragon, you yoink their Elf away, you summon a Mega Fleet, and you attack over their Toad. And now they're like, they just lost 2 cards, and you have a Dark Monster on the field, which is like one of your components for Curious, which is like crazy. It's a 4-card side deck package, and then you have like, let's say Alpha, right? Similar in concept, where like you go Alpha attack over Elf, main phase 2 activate Alpha, and they would have to like Toad negate it, or maybe they use Elf, so like those type of cards like could be really good, but it like depends like how the European Championship ended, and like how are people playing dupe? And from what I've noticed, a lot of people are not playing dupe because they're trying to play around super poly. So like not playing around super poly actually plays into those other board breakers. So I'm gonna be interested to see like are people gonna make that shift to alpha, to Cyber Dragons, and all this other stuff. Kurikara, if you even want to talk about that now, because people aren't playing dupe, right? So it's such an interesting dynamic that like tech choices that we're talking about today, they constantly change, and so you have to like really really be on your toes. But I guess that's why you're here listening to the Euwcq cast. So yeah, it's interesting.
So like on our, but we actually tested like all those cards. Like,
Yeah.
On our list and
Yeah.
stuff. So the whole point of Pete's Prime,
Yeah.
the list was actually
Yep.
Slayer, Alpha, Cyber Dragon,
Cyber Dragon.
Raigeki.
Raigeki, yes,
like,
Raigeki.
We talked about Raigeki as well.
Yeah. So like I think Alpha and Cyber Dragon actually work pretty well. Nah, Cyber Dragon's a bit weird in things.
Cyber Dragon was weird with our deck, especially.
I think Alpha maybe in tiers, but basically the way like our game plan was, we wanted to like play as many spell cards. We wanted to like bait to. We don't want to commit to a monster. We wanted to play as many cards to interact with their board without summoning a monster to not bait out the elf. Like Con, Tactics, Ruler, Slayer. Slayer actually worked well with Tactics. So you Slayer and hit a card, then you Tactics. Like all our like backrow stuff was like we clear their board without committing a monster. And it was like Slayer worked pretty well with our deck. Personally, because like even we also started in evenly too, because like we just needed one of like any of the amazing board breakers to. We needed to bait a Toad effect. We needed them to use Toad's effect. There was like so many cards in our deck that make them use Toad effect, where evenly just becomes like amazing. But then again, I think the other cards it depends on your deck. But I liked I liked how our deck didn't play into the elf, so that's why Alpha and Cyber Dragon were weird. Maybe in your deck you can kind of be forced to.
Yeah, in the tier elements, I think Mega Fleet is kind of. It's very good in my opinion, the Mega Fleet in tier elements, because you can shuffle it back in order to summon a free Stapelia.
Yeah.
And then you can. The recursion of the Cyber
cool.
Dragon comes.
Yeah.
I think with the dangers it might be weird, but I think without the dangers,
yeah. That's why Alpha might be better, because like some random points in the game, you draw into an Alpha, just slap that down, and then like now like if you bait it all there negates, you bounce back Alpha, bounce back your Bigfoot, summon Alpha again, and like they just might get bodied. Like it's just crazy.
To be fair, some builds had like a low danger count, so it might just be worth it. Like if you like us, Bancroft was only our teammate came to 16 was only on 5 dangers.
5 dangers.
So Cyber Dragon would actually, so Cyber Dragon
I think that's the goal. Probably 6. I think one Moth Man, one. I don't even know if I want to play Tsuchinoko.
I think Tsuchinoko sucks. Yeah, this is gonna be a hot take. I hate Tsuchinoko.
His regret was he should play 2 Mothman, but the 6 dangers makes sense. He didn't play Tsuchinoko.
Yeah, Tsuchinoko is the worst one.
Jackalope is kind of alright, but Tsuchinoko definitely should be out.
Yep.
Should be out of every main deck if we talk about dangers. And also I saw people on the level 8s. I think you are crazy. You are a fucking crackhead if you play the level 8. Like you're betting everything on your opponent not snapping the level 8.
Yo,
you deserve to get sniped.
Bro, Hani swears hella nasty. He's like, bro, every danger is broken. Like I swear to God, this man was playing Dogman. aka Danger Dog Shit. aka my boy Danger Dog Shit, bro. That guy's insane. But like Hanu's like,
if you're listening to this podcast, you deserve to get your danger sniped. Clip that shit.
Like you know when someone reveals a Mothman, a Bigfoot or like a Thunderbird, you're licking your lips, man.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm about to go +1.
Yeah, dude, that is scary. I just can't do it, especially like if you're playing 12 rounds of Swiss. I'm like literally sweating when I go Bigfoot effect going first. It's actually disgusting. But hey. All right. I mean, I think we covered the majority of the techs, so I think that's kind of cool.
The counters.
Yeah. Now let's talk about some of the counters. I know like Mystic Minds is gonna have a resurgence. Not that it hasn't been really around, but it's gonna be more played than ever now because bro, the European Championship was I think one of the most viewed televised event for Konami for Yugioh in a long time. Like so, a lot of people are gonna get a lot of inspiration, especially since this is the start of the Power of the Elements format. So people are gonna just kind of copy or I guess get inspired by what they saw. And one of the things that was prevalent across the board was Mystic Mind. So how do you beat Mystic Mind? Like what's the best way? So one of the ways I think you guys mentioned, I think Betty you mentioned this was or Marcus that you just switch decks. If your decks cannot have an answer to Mind in the main deck, then you just gotta like switch it, which I don't even think is necessarily a wrong choice.
It's not a wrong take. It's definitely not a wrong take. But there is.
Yep.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, Marcus.
second alternative, I'll just bounce Fury into someone. But like, I don't want to say it specifically, but like, you just don't want you want to play cards where like your opponent can't activate spell cards. If your opponent can't activate spell cards, they can't activate Mystic Mind. There's cards in the game which allow you to do that.
Imperial Order is not legal.
One of them was like spell canceller, like there's
Spell cancel, yeah.
spell canceller,
Yeah.
Dugaris things that you could do with Curious.
I mean, yeah, there is the combo with Spell Cancer, with Dugares, you can summon it back.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking
you're
about
you're
is more
nasty.
about...
You guys are all, how did you say that so casually? That's disgusting.
Right.
Curious and Spellcaster and Dugaris back? Are you serious? That's actually like,
I mean,
that's AIDS.
I mean, you can also revive it with the Baron, or you
Yeah.
can also play one anti-spell in the main deck with Griffon in order to set it, because you are gonna mill a fuck ton of cards.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking more is, every deck right now is committing a set card, because they released, everyone I think released, that you need 3 points of interaction, and every deck, in order
Yes.
to have a meta deck representation, in order to be a meta deck in the representation, needs to have at least one set card searchable. So why not commit to 3 Galaxy Cyclone in the main deck?
I don't think it's bad. No, that was another thing we said on our podcast. Like, decks just might just play multiple Galaxy Cyclone. It's not
Yeah.
a bad card. When you go in second, you kind of like, when your Galaxy Cyclone are smashes, you're pretty happy. Like, even, it's not, I think it's alright. You
Yeah.
mill it, for Tears especially. I think it only really works for Tears. Like, obviously, for Sprite, you'd be thinking about a different type card. But for Tears, it's not bad. The guy who came second, main 2, maybe he heard about the Beat Cop stuff and was like, I want to play
second
2, so I don't
one,
want to
yeah.
lose.
And you know, yeah, it's so
yeah,
funny.
I
I
think
actually
so.
like the way he played too, because he talked about how he utilizes Galaxy Cyclone, which I haven't really heard anyone else talked about. Which is like, if he gets Mystic Mind, he would set Super Poly and put 2 Darks on the board. Super Poly at his opponent's end phase by pitching the Galaxy Cyclone, and then so he gets to start his turn off just destroying the mind and killing his opponent. Which I thought was like,
That's
oh, that's actually genius. Like that's
That's
actually
pretty cool. I like that.
yeah,
I
I'm like,
that.
oh, that I never really thought about it like that. And but then he actually did it on feature. So when I saw him talk about it on the profile, I was like, oh, this guy didn't just think about this on the spot. He actually came with a game plan. So I was like, that's really sick. That's genius. I like that a lot.
Yeah, respected
mean,
mine.
Yeah, like if your opponent knows that you are gonna out the Mystic Man the next turn, he's gonna start playing. It's gonna be very bad for you regardless.
Yeah,
Might
that's
as
the
well
only
just...
thing I don't like.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I agree on that.
So I like
So-
triple. I like triple. Galaxy Cyclone. Nesh and I were talking about that as well the other day, and I was like, "Yo, no cap. I think I might actually play triple Galaxy Cyclone in my main deck." And it's like weird because everyone always memes about the out, like, you know, just draw the out or just main deck like outs to like mine, right? And I'm like, I guess I am, but like, there's not a lot of scenarios in which like it's ever correct to like main back row removal and have it actually be good. But I think like Galaxy Cyclone might be an exception. Like I tried it in like my Pure Punk deck where I main deck Cosmic Cyclone because everyone was just like mining people left and right. And I was actually really happy I had those type of back row removal because everyone just like thinks you're scrambling the moment you get mined. So I like it. I like deck lists that have back row removal. Because I find it like that's something that we've strayed so much away from because the game has gotten so fast. But it always makes like me a little bit happy because whenever I watch like the old deck profiles, they're like they put in like MSTs in their deck or they put in like twins in their main deck. I think even in 2019, a lot of people main deck Twin Twister. So it's like kind of cool to see like that happening again, even though like it's partially the result of like mine being so like cancer to play against. But I guess there's some pros to it in a way. Like maybe it's like deck building is evolving. And I think like if you don't evolve to combat obviously clear issues, as long as the card is still legal, then you're gonna be caught basically pants down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
That's start.
I mean, dude, that's what mine does, bro. But I mean,
Oh,
best,
with the shadow looking,
yeah,
activate Mystic Mine.
bro. Like if you guys watch Lars, man, because I know you guys were at the event, you guys can see it, but every time Lars like mined someone, he looked over the camera and he was like,
Oh, no way.
yeah, he was like, yeah,
Yeah, he did. He did.
Bro, I
He
don't
did.
wanna talk
Bro,
about it,
bro,
bro.
bro,
Dude.
no cap.
No.
Benny, don't watch your
No.
feature match back, bro. Don't watch
No,
it back,
bro,
bro.
Bro, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah,
No.
don't do
He's
that,
actually
bro.
looking at the camera, doing the Chad pose.
Yeah, and like when you draw the out and you try to like out his mind, you're like Duster, right? Against Zio, he's like Duster, and the guy he looks over to the camera, he's like Judgment. I'm like, yo, this guy only plays 2. I saw his deck list. He only plays 2. How does he have it every time on feature? This guy's just like Judgment's the out, Duster, cosmic galaxy,
Nah,
like everything.
This guy's
Doesn't matter.
insane. I can't lie.
Bro,
This guy.
impermanence faker and decided one faker out. Like what?
That
are you
was
talking
insane.
about? He was blessed. He was blessed.
You're gonna make me cry,
Yugi
bro. I
Muto.
can't. No.
Yeah.
Yugi Muto right there. So, we were talking during the podcast number 1 how expensive is to commit to a card as Ultimate Slayer. I guess it paid off because, as you guys said, it was a very good card, and also because you were trying to bait the Toad not committing any monster on the board. And we were kind of talking about the different board breakers. Also, Joshua Schmidt made a video about the different board breakers. In your guys' opinion, which are the best board breakers card, and rate them from 1 to 5 or 1? Yeah.
For me, it
Weird.
depends on what people are playing. Like,
Yeah.
I could rate some board breakers, but if everyone switches up for the next event, they're not just going to be good. They're not going to be good, are they?
No.
But currently,
Don't you think a card like Super Poly could always be good? I think so.
I think, but like I saw people doing like so. I know I had friends who played Puncture Elements for the event, and they made a board specifically to counter Super Poly. The Baron with Elf, with IP,
Baron,
like,
Elf, IP Masquerena, and Riddler with the
Yeah.
trap set and snow
Yeah.
in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Bro, I
Yeah.
started the shit like no fucking tomorrow.
Yeah,
I was
That's what
there.
I'm
bro.
trying to say.
I stopped
Yeah,
making
like-
Appaloosa in my Punk tier deck because I was getting super pulled into my bear and Appaloosa. And I'm like, this is stupid, bro. How is this a
Right.
thing?
Yeah, so it just depends what people are playing. But like I can talk about the board breakers for Euros. I don't know what people are going to do now, but I can talk about board breakers
Sure.
for Euros.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Dark Rule of the Maw was obviously really good into Sprite. It just kind of some of them were just hard commit. Elf, IP, Toad, Red, and just like Dark Rule of the Maw. And I think a large proportion of even though Danger Tears did really well,
Yeah.
there were 2,000 people in that room. A lot of people weren't on Danger Tier. They were making Kitalos, double Draco Stapelia, and that's what my opponent in feature and like round 10 did. It traded well. I think Dark Rule of the Maw was pretty good. Super Poly was also really good. It depends if your deck could play it. That was the problem with Super Poly. Some decks just couldn't play it. Like it was like, I know it's really good, but some decks can't afford the discard. Like if you're playing a deck where you're playing like 40 good cards, can you really afford to play Super Poly and discard a good card? And extra deck space is obviously a weird one, but I think
that was the big one for us, right? It was like the extra deck space trying to commit to Super.
Oh, we're locked into parts.
Like,
we're
obviously that as well. But
we're
like, the plant lock is too strong, bro.
Yeah.
Right?
I think Tactus was pretty good too. Like the people, anyone, Stapel, like I said, if we're thinking about the majority of the representation of the room, like people are doing Draco Stapelia stuff, stealing a Draco Stapelia and they're getting an extra additional card isn't bad. Like the Toad build where stealing an elf, it's not too bad too. It's looking at hand. I think those, like if you look at the list, it was I lied. Mystic Mine. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot.
Bro, Mystic Mine.
number one.
Bro, it's
I forgot. Mystic Mine's number one.
yeah.
Wait,
God,
with Rikas, you are only locked for the rest of this turn, or am I wrong? Or there is an hard lock for
There
plans?
is I'm not entirely sure, but the rest of the time, but sometimes you don't want to shotgun it. I don't know how to explain it. Sometimes you want to see. Sometimes if they hold elf, I don't know.
Yeah. Sometimes you want to just like normal summon Petal and start with that. Like it's
It's weird.
it's weird.
I feel it. I feel you. I feel you. So,
bro, best deck. Let's talk about it. I think everyone, listening, that's what everyone comes for, bro. Like all my DMs is filled with like, yo, what's the best deck? What's the best deck? Can you send me a deck? Can you work on my deck? I'm like, bro.
I don't want to talk about the best deck. I want to talk how to counter the best deck because everyone after my man went 18-0-1. Everyone realized Rika is one of the best deck. It's one of the best deck. I'm not gonna say it's the best deck.
Okay.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm not gonna say it's the best
I
deck.
don't
I think
think
it's very good.
I don't think it's the best deck right now. I think it was insanely good into that room. I think if you played Rico Plant into Euros, you're guaranteed top. There's another guy who played it too, and he was playing hand traps. Like his list wasn't perfect, but like that just shows how like good the engine was.
Yeah.
He was playing like Ogre and maybe some suspicious hand trap cards, but like the engine carried him. And I don't think many people played Rico at that event.
Okay, this is for my tier elements, boys. Okay, listen me carefully.
Oh God.
We side deck right now. There can be only one.
We're dead.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. Nash was like telling me, he's like, yo, bro, everyone's gonna be on plans. There can only be one of them. And I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you?
You know what it is? I think plants, it takes you a week to learn the deck. But it's like, what's the next event? Rio? I don't think, even if you pick up the plant deck.
Yeah, I don't think people can learn it that quick. Yeah.
No.
I just don't think, like, it's just, like, I wouldn't I wouldn't respect it. Like, no offense, I probably wouldn't respect it as much.
Yeah.
But
Bro,
that
I'm not
means
gonna
that-
lie.
yeah.
I spent 5 hours playing that deck nonstop. If you look at my rated, I don't think Yugioh scope is the thing anymore. I played that deck nonstop 5 hours, and the thing was, I was genuinely impressed. Cause like for example, like I was going second, and people were like, "This Euro's just finished, right?" And some guy was like, "Damn, I see you pack, like trying to get on the goo already." I'm like, "Yeah, you know how I am." So I go activate Con, right? I'm playing against Splight. And the guy was like, he had a toad. He had a full board. He's like, should I negate? He's like, fine. I'm like, all right. Mudon effect, tribute your cards.
Exactly. Like, just game, just win.
Yeah, I just murdered him. I'm like, he's like, huh? I'm like, yeah, bro. You know
Well,
how?
like, even if they do negate, like there's a lot of, so even if they do negate,
Yeah.
like, they have a smashers, right?
Yeah.
You can do stuff to like bait out the smashers, or like, well, you can activate a Mystic Mine, you can activate a second Conga. There's so much stuff that it's just sick.
It's just sick, yeah,
it's just sick.
bro. I was like, wow, this is like even that interaction there, like Con is literally a board breaker in my opinion. Like it's an in-engine board breaker, and then you had like 3 copies with terraforming, or 3 like all your field spells were just like board breakers. Like that was like crazy. That's why I was like, yo, this is kind of nice. So yeah, I do think the deck has a really high ceiling. You definitely need to like learn how to play the deck. Because I was definitely like messing up, but it was like cool because like every time I mess, I'm like, oh shit, okay. I quickly figured out like, okay, I'm doing this wrong. No wonder I'm like screwing up.
That's I'll say one point. That's how I knew the deck was broken. So when I
Yeah.
first picked up the deck, I didn't know how to play it, but I was winning games, and that's when I knew this deck is nuts. If I'm
Yeah.
able to play this deck badly and win, imagine if I knew how to play it. And
Look
that's
at
what
you
that
now.
was.
Yeah.
That was like a game changer for me.
And I think like the other cool concept that I liked about the deck was the how it interacts with Mystic Mine. So if you mine your opponent, like, you know, sometimes you don't deck them out. You can use Petal to like summon itself back at your opponent's end phase. You now control the same amount of monsters. Mine dies, and now you play on the next turn. You kill them, right?
Yeah.
Like there's stuff like that, which I'm like, okay, there's actually like it's not just about activating mine. It's about like there's more depth to like activating mine. Like it actually takes some sort of skill to play under mine. Weirdly enough. And like utilizing it the right way, and that's why I was like, damn, I was kind of impressed. I'm like, okay, this deck, the way it interacts with mine is so unique. The fact that you can manipulate monster counts, is so cool. And I definitely utilized that when I was like playing on DB. I was like, okay, like my opponent's had 1 monster. I think I'm gonna turn off mine and try to kill him. And like, because when I finally got enough card advantage, I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. Like I had my trap set, I have everything fully set up, loaded. I had Con in my hand next turn. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And then at that point, like, I was like, damn, this is like really sick. So definitely really cool, cool interactions.
You know about the OTK?
About the OTK?
What?
No,
Yeah,
I don't.
see-
I don't.
So it's the most efficient OTK.
Yeah.
Run
Run it down first.
Summon Dryas.
Okay.
Play Sowin. You get Twin. You get you summon the healer. You don't summon the Thrush, and you reborn the seed.
Sure.
You make all 3 into Melius. Special summon back the seed. You make Thrasher. Make it 3/2.
Yep.
You make Melius. Make the Thrasher attack twice.
Yes.
Then you make
yes.
a Benga Lancer, and that's like 8/7. Is it
8/7.
8/9?
8, 9, 8,
7.
8, 7.
8-9,
8/9. 8/9. And that's just, I don't know if you know about OTK, but
No, I did not know.
Yeah, so that's like that's
I
most
just
efficient one.
summon
Line.
big boys and knock them out.
that's-
Yeah.
one seed kill line, super easy.
Yeah.
And that kills through an
Monster on
attack position monster and any other monster as well.
That's just one die. Like, you haven't even normal summon tribute.
Yeah,
Like, that's,
exactly. Like
I thought it was like pretty important.
The thing that impressed about the deck profile, to be honest, was like the end board, okay? Because seems weak, because we already spoke about it. Seems weak, but it has so many points of interaction, but it's not weak. That's the thing that
crazy, bro. It's crazy.
during my testing, I was like, I have to end with 3, 4, 5 Omni negation. My opponent has to pry, and in the deck profile, you guys were like, nah, that's enough.
Yeah,
enough,
one
bro.
trap Strenna. Go.
Go in it. Go.
No, it's
Go
actually,
in
you know,
it.
it's
This is
actually,
great.
it's crazy enough, but that's enough.
I mean, Lair of Darkness is
actually
like
enough.
wild. Like that concept, like that is literally like so dumb. Like it's such a stupid interaction because you're pulling like, yo, can I respond? I'm like, bro, your monster's off the board, bro. Like,
literally, bro. Literally, bro.
You
Yeah.
got to consider what everyone's playing. Like, everyone else is playing like Super Poly and Dark Ruler more. If they
Yeah.
activate Dark Ruler more, your Petal is coming back.
your pedals.
The Petal's
you're-
coming in phase. It's coming
Yeah.
back, bro.
You kind of just need to watch out for Gigantic. That's the worry thing. You just need to
Yep.
watch out because that can stop your Petal coming back. But apart from that,
Yeah, so you hold imprint for Gigantic if they somehow like get play through the board, but I
or
think
the
it's so
sheet,
hard.
or like
Yeah.
It's also just
I
like
love him.
like what
I
kept
love
on
it.
coming up for me. It's just like the people that were trying to Zeus us.
Mm.
And then you
tunnel
just
vision.
like
You can see it.
they tunnel. They're just like, right, Zeus clear the board game, and then like the Dark Ruler, they go battle phase, they Zeus main phase 2, Downer, Zeus effects, and it's just like Princess deck tribute it for cost, and then they're
Tribute
like
it.
chain,
Yeah.
and it's like no,
Yeah.
it's gone, bro. You can't chain it. Like
Yeah, because the same thing happened when I was testing. So I was playing in Sprite, and my opponent was trying to bait out the princess, and I'm like, yeah, keep going, keep going. He made what did he make? He make totally awesome. I'm like, because he started off swap, he started off swap pitch swap, and so he got to Toad really early. I'm like, sure, you can keep going. Like, I was like vibing. I'm like, bro, like I'm just whatever you activate next, I'm gonna tribute your Toad and then get your card. Like it's so stupid.
I don't know about you, but some people just summon Carrot like it negates sheep. Like they summon Carrot
Oh
like it.
shit, yeah.
And it just like
100%.
yeah, for me it happened loads. I'm just like tribute
Yeah,
Carrot as cost. Steal.
Wild, literally wild.
It's just free.
Okay, let's talk about the graphics of the meta representation. So
Sure.
we had 37% of sprite, we had 36% of tier elements, and 7.5% of Flanders and Matmec. I think, and then Rika 4.3%. I
But
mean,
it's
except
inaccurate. Inaccurate because there's another Rika player he missed.
Oh, okay, so it's even more.
Missed.
It's even more
it's
like
even more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's around 5%. I would say, okay, so it's about 5.4% for Matmec and Rika at the end. Then we had Flanders, Tier Element, and Sprite. I think everyone was expecting this sort of percentage, like the 30%, around the 30% for Sprite and Tier Elements to be in the top cut. Flanders obviously was one of the most, to be honest, counter decks for those, like Shifter is. I mean, don't let me talk about Shifter. And then we have Matmec.
Yep.
Matmec is a very interesting deck, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's that good. Okay, the trap is good. Don't get me wrong. I agree. The trap is amazing. If you resolve it, it's mostly GG against every other deck than Tier Element. Okay, but I don't feel the deck is good. Like if you know how to play around it, it has only one kill shot. Like he has to go for access code because the circular locks you into attack into one with only one.
For me,
monster.
the problem is going second. Like that's why we went for Rika. But like the problem with like it's just like going second. Like how are you winning more consistently than the other better
Yeah,
decks? And it's just-
I personally don't think that deck's solved either.
yeah,
I don't think it's solved. But that's for another day.
That's for
I also-
another day.
to be-
Yeah.
To be fair, for Euros, like I know they didn't show like a deck representation of the people who played. There was no Matmec anywhere. Like no way, no one played it.
Nah, you're capping, bro.
No, there was
What?
one guy
Like-
who topped 128 with it. I was
He
just
did,
watching
yeah,
his
that's my
profile.
friend.
Oh, that's your friend.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
sweet.
yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
watching
yeah,
his profile.
yeah.
Yeah.
I meant like in the tournament though. It wasn't like loads of Matmec.
It wasn't
Yeah,
loads.
yeah,
Okay, sure. Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
I was gonna say my guy Luke was sat
No,
next
no.
to me like
No,
all of
no.
day 2. Like what are you saying?
But it was just like from compared to DB ladder, like DB there's loads of Matmec, but like
Yeah.
IRL, I just didn't see any.
Yeah, the only thing I have to
Yeah.
say about like Mathmech is I think Circular as an engine is ridiculous. Maybe it's not supposed to be played pure. Maybe you play with Adventure. I've seen that be a concept as well. So I mean, yeah, there's definitely ways to innovate on the Mathmech archetype if you expand beyond just the pure concept of it. Who knows? Like I haven't done much testing with it, but like just initially thinking about like the archetype and like how the card functionally just works. Like the card is literally splashable. There's no restriction. Like it's literally no
Yeah, for sure.
restriction. So there's definitely some way to make it like
okay.
crazy.
Yeah.
Because
Just need a
the
guy
only
to
issue is if you splash with the other engine, like as you say, the pack,
Yep.
then you cannot play transcode. Transcode because you are locked for the entire turn into Cypers.
Yes,
It's an hard
yes.
lock.
Yes.
So you
yes,
cannot
yes.
go into transcode. And I think that's a huge neg for that deck. Do you remember when you were playing Salamangreat with Adventure?
Yeah, yeah.
And we had
Adventure.
the exact same issue?
Yeah.
Because it's good, because like you can turn the Adventure token into Link Spider, okay?
Yep.
Because it's a Cybers and you can try to play with it. But then there are that situation in which you really need to summon the transcode, but you already summoned the token and then you cannot use the effect of transcode. It's kind of weird. I don't think it's bad, but good luck with your 50 card decklist because the shit cannot be 40.
Yeah. I agree. So
Then
Yes.
Okay, so I have a question for everyone you all.
sure.
Let's start with Betty.
Sure.
Betty,
Hello.
what do you think? Which decks do you think people should bring to the next event? So Brazil. It's Brazil? It's Portugal.
So,
Rio, yes.
Rio.
I'd say tier, personally.
Tier.
I think it's
Tier
I think
how?
it's danger tier, probably punk. I think the punk engine just gives it that extra edge, which is for the mirror. As you said, like the board plays around super poly. And I think it's just that bit better as well. Even though like you kind of have to you kind of lose a little bit because you have a couple of bricks. But I think that it just increased the ceiling of the deck overall, and I think that's just
I
that
fuck
better.
a lot with this choice. Okay, now it's your turn, Marcus.
So you know what? I still think Rika's an alright choice because like I don't think it makes sense to respect it. But, like I think if you think about smart, I don't think a lot of people will play it. I don't think people will learn it. So then you shouldn't respect it. But then if you already know how to play it, I still think it's a good choice.
Bro, I have the entire deck with me. I'm actually bringing 3 decks to Rio. I'm bringing the Rika Sun Avalon deck. I'm bringing the Punk Tillman deck, and I'm bringing an Evil Twin, Live Twin Sprite deck. I think those are like the top decks of the format. And my only concern is, maybe you can give me insight into this, is I actually feel comfortable to play the Rika deck, but my only concern is when I go to like in a place like Rio, bro, the stuff that I'm gonna be witnessing like is gonna be a lot of Eldritch, a lot of Fluanderies, and I'm really scared. Like when I played
Every
against
fucking time.
Yeah, I'm scared.
Every fucking time you guys go aboard, you always think you're gonna face Eldritch, and you never face Eldritch.
No,
Never.
I mean, what are your thoughts? Like, what are your thoughts? Do you think the Rika deck is good into those matchups? And if so, like, how would you play against those decks? Because I've been struggling. Like, bro, the set 5 is cancer.
You lose. You are losing. Like, it's very hard. I beat one, but like it's hard. It is hard. But like I actually have a different perspective for this, right? Because like you're American going to Brazil, right? I think you're losing those matches because you're trying to explain these Rika cards. And you're trying to explain these Rika cards and how they work. Like I was struggling. Like I don't know if you had the same, Marcus, but trying to like tell everyone between like the language barriers sometimes. Like some of my games went close to time just trying to explain the cards.
Oh no, all my guys knew English.
Really, all of them.
Everyone knew English, man. It was easy.
Damn, COVID. Damn, COVID hit hard for you, bro. Like for me, it was a struggle. A couple of rounds. I was trying to explain these cards, and then like it hit like 38 minutes. I was stressing.
Man.
I'm scared about that too. Like I'm not trying to like.
This reminds me of Annie's story.
Yeah.
This reminds me of Annie's story when he said, "Guys, I got defeated by language barrier." not conventional barrier. I got defeated by language barrier.
Language barrier.
That's my opponent didn't know my cards.
The forbidden goo. Language barrier your opponent. God damn. That shit is disgusting. No, like I played someone who pretended he didn't know like English. It was actually crazy. In Mexico, I played this dude who was like he like spoke Spanish to me the entire time, right? And then later he turns over to his friend. He's like, "Yo, I definitely know English." But the guy who he talked to, the guy across, actually watches my content. So he came over to me. He's like, "Yo, bro, that dude knew English." Like I was like, "Yo!" Like I like beat him because I drew reboot, you know, like sacked him nasty, and I rebooted him, and like he was so mad, like he was like literally cursing me out in Spanish. Of course, I mean I knew some words, you know, like I know the forbidden words. So I was like, I'm like, yo, like the guy told me, he's like, bro, that guy was. I was like, God, I'm like, damn, dude. Now I'm gonna lose 1 sub now. I'm sick. But hey,
which deck? Actually, you're going to the event, so I'm gonna answer for you. Okay. Okay. I mean, I'm gonna answer. I think the Evil Twin is the safest choice in my opinion because the Joshua deck is good. Don't get me wrong, guys. But I think it's good for one event, especially in event like Rio. I think I would play the safest choice, that's Evil Twin, because it has an effect that pops back row. Like, what are you asking for? Like, you have
and
the
it draws
Evil Twin
multiple
that
cards.
pops
Yeah,
back
it draws multiple cards.
and draws also multiple cards. So yeah, I would definitely play the Evil Twin. I would adjust a little bit the deck list of Matteo that he made the deck profile for the top 4. I would for sure playing Nightmare Phoenix, so for one more draw, because why not, guys? We like to draw. And I mean, that would be my take on Rio. I would definitely play Evil Twin Sprite.
Yeah.
Like, a teched out Sprite deck is always going to be good. You just got to be right with your text. That's all. Like I think the teched out Sprite deck is amazing. You just have to be bang on with what you think you're going to play against.
Yeah.
It's not a gamble.
I feel like it's funny.
I was in love with the Deacon.
Yeah, no, I love the tech that came out of the European Championship. If for some reason it reminds me of like 2019, where you have like Danger Thunder, which Danger Tier Limit, and then you have like the Salamangreat type strategy, which I don't even know if you call Spice Salamangreat. I feel like that's literally disrespectful. But like it's like an Orcus deck, right? Like there's a lot of recursion. You summon itself, blah blah blah. So maybe it's like an Orcus strategy, and maybe like Math Mech is like the Salamangreat strategy. So I do feel like and then you have like the Rika deck, which bro, I don't even know what category you put that in. The dark horse.
Flashback, I guess, right, Marcus?
Scott. but I find like, yo, we're actually maybe hitting like history's like kind of repeating itself, you know. So I find that interesting. I wonder what the new ban list will look like. There's Oceanics next weekend. Sorry. So there's Rio. Next weekend is Oceanics. And then after that you have YCS Niagara. You guys coming to Niagara?
We're going to LA.
We're going LA, yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
bro, if they don't
Let's
ban a
see, yeah.
Mystic Man, you already know I'm tagging Konami on Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
man, yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, some stuff happened recently. And as you guys might know, me, Pak, and Dani left the luxury. There were,
It's just how you worded
were-
that. We left the luxury. We left that.
yeah, bro, I was never I mean, bro, I'm Italian. I'm not luxurious at all. Look at that. Anyways,
I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, all I have to say about that, I know everyone's probably wondering about that, so we'll add a short little snippet at the end. I think it was just more of like we didn't really align on like the same goals for the vision of what luxury the direction that luxury was heading in didn't really align with like the goals that I had for a team, because I was looking more of it as to make it an organization beyond just beyond just a Yugioh team. There's nothing wrong with that. But I guess my aspirations were very different than the current vision and like direction of the team. So I wanted to leave, and then I have a lot of stuff in the works. And I'm gonna be working towards that. But I feel like I didn't feel like the time, the energy that I invested was, I guess, worth the direction that it was going in, right? And so I left for that reason mainly. I have no ill will towards anyone on the team. I don't really have any dramas or anything like that. I think I would say it's pretty mutual. And I think
I share the same feelings.
yeah, so it's more of like just I think the most important thing that I've realized from this is that you can be really good friends with someone, but there's creative differences, and like there's even though you're really really good friends with someone, there's those people might not necessarily be the best business partners, and I think it takes a lot of courage, because I'll tell you right now, it was not an easy decision.
Definitely.
But I think it's the right choice for me at the end of the day, moving forward. So was it easy? No. Was it needed to be done? I should say yes. And I think that's it, right? It's like making these tough choices along the way. And I would say I really appreciate the team, because similar to what you guys were talking about, there's a lot of things you can gain testing wise from being a team, being around people who talk all day about Yu-Gi-Oh. I think that's very beneficial. But at the end of the day, for me, I didn't really care about the pay. I didn't really care about the testing. I just wanted to be around people, my friends. And that's what luxury was, right? I think you guys even echoed this, that you guys just started because you guys met each other at local regionals. You guys kept doing well, and it was just friends at the end of the day, right? And that's what luxury was for me. The thing is, leaving luxury doesn't mean that I'm not friends with those people anymore. And I think that's something that people need to understand. It's not now we're not friends, we have beef. That's just not how it works. I think that's the misconception that people will have. But I would say I'm cool with everyone still. We're all friends. Just different creative differences, and we're headed in different directions. And that's all I really have to say about that, quite frankly. So, Nash, if you want to add anything else, or
I mean, the man spoke for bot, to be honest. What can I say? This was a really tough choice. I worked for luxury for almost 3 years, and bro, that shit was tough. I didn't even think about leaving ever luxury, but at a point, I thought I couldn't grow up in that environment anymore.
Yeah.
I couldn't grow up as a content creator in that perspective, I would say. As a player, definitely yes, because there were a lot of good players. But being a content creator gives you that extra thing to do, to accomplish, and also that's also the reason why I left every testing circle, because I couldn't be really honest with everyone. Because obviously, if there is a testing circle involving in stuff and text, and you cannot really talk about that on streaming, because it would be disrespectful to the team. So that's why I took also this tough decision, because I want to be able to prove myself in order to find something spicy for my chat, in order to find something spicy for the people, and I don't want to disrespect anyone else's work.
Yeah, I'm in the same direction. Like, I think Nesh and I both have left all of our testing circles. Like, we're not in any Discord related to testing at all. And like I said, the main reason is just because it's disrespectful to the people who put in a lot of time and energy for me to just like share it on stream. So now we just find it ourselves. So the pursuit of the goo. Essentially, so this is like how the goo cast eventually developed, and that's what we're here to kind of like just do, right? Is just talk about like the interesting stuff, the things that we find, and overall, like, I'm still cool with all those people in those testing groups. I enjoyed hanging out with those people in voice call. It wasn't just like a testing component. I think people misunderstand, let's just make a testing Discord and invite all the good players. I think at the end of the day, there fundamentally needs to be some sort of like you need to be enjoying your time hanging with those people, right? You can't test with someone if you don't like them, I think. And I think it's wrong to kind of like approach it where like, yo, I'm just gonna befriend someone who's like good at the game just to like talk, theory and stuff. Like, at the end of the day, like, there needs to be some fundamental like friendship involved, some camaraderie, and then that's why, like, at the end of the day, we're still friends. Like, even though I left, like, we're all still friends. We're also like, hanging out together still regardless, and we still talk to each other. And I think that's like the most important thing about the whole concept. So I think going forward for, I guess, Nesh and I, the stuff that we'll put out, it's all stuff that we figured out kind of like together, or that we kind of just like come across, nothing crazy. But yeah, like Nesh is also going to be opening up his own YouTube channel soon. And maybe September, I believe, if the timeline goes well.
Yeah, should have been September.
Yeah, so yeah. Overall, I'm excited overall for the growth of our channels, the growth of like our content creation, and I think it's like the best decision for us. Like, I'm not really looking for any other team. I've gotten reached out to a couple people, not even just not like as a flex, but mainly like I not trying to disrespect anyone. Like, I'm not really looking or interested in that right now. It's kind of like going solo. So. And I think that's going to be the conclusion of the Goo cast. Guys, huge shouts to the Disciples. Huge shouts to Betty. Huge shouts to Marcus for coming on. These guys are awesome. If you guys want to hear more of them, definitely go check out their YouTube. They also have their own podcast, Tap Tuesdays. Today is Tuesday, by the way. We're recording on
Never
Tuesday.
comes out on a Tuesday.
It never comes out. It never comes out on a Tuesday, but hey.
Never comes out on a Tuesday.
But definitely go listen to them. Highly encourage it. I listen to them myself personally on my own spare time, my own free time. They're great to have in the background, just so, as you're doing work, all that good stuff. So huge shouts to them. And that'll be it. Enjoy, guys. Peace.